Okay, hello everyone. I'm John Black. I'm the CEO of Aldebaran Resources. Welcome to Six Mix, and thank you to the Six team for providing this format. We hope this is an opportunity for those of you that might be new to our story to learn about our company and the exciting project we have, the large copper project we have in Argentina. For those of you that are familiar with our story, it's a great chance to get a quick update of where we're at with the project. We are a company that's listed on the TSXV, so the appropriate disclaimers apply as indicated on the diagram. Let's just take a quick summary of why invest in Aldebaran, why take a look at Aldebaran. We're a company that already has a sizable copper gold resource in hand. We'll see that it's a large deposit right now. It, however, has potential to be significantly larger, and a lot of what we'll be talking about today is that exciting potential that we've already begun to unravel to see what the ultimate size of this project might be. We have multiple strategic investors that are supporting us moving forward. That's important not only for the technical endorsement of the project, but also providing financial support to move the project forward. We'll see that we're a management team that specializes in identifying these type of projects, large copper or copper gold deposits that can be drilled out and ideally sold to a major. And we have a track record of success. Our first company was called Antares Minerals, and we successfully drilled out a large porphyry system and monetized that to the benefit of all of our shareholders by selling that to a major mining company. We also have an ongoing exploration program. We have 3 rigs active at the moment. We're doing our best to see if we can increase that rig count in the near future. And more importantly for shareholders, we have a very compelling valuation. This story is just starting to get started. There are many, including in San Juan, where we're exploring in Argentina, there are many large copper stories that are quite exciting, but some of those have already been revealed to the public, and the market caps have adjusted accordingly. They're still great projects, but they've maybe made their runs. I think this is an ideal time to be taking a look at Aldebaran as an investment because there's quite a bit more value to be revealed in this project moving forward. So just quickly who we are. Aldebaran's actually the 3rd company under our same management team. We're a group of seasoned explorationists that specialize in identifying these projects that can be large copper deposits. And our strategy is to identify them, drill them out, de-risk them, and sell them to a major mining company. That's exactly what we did with Antares Minerals, our first company. We discovered the Akira project in southern Peru, drilled that out and sold it to First Quantum for $650 million. So we have executed our business plan successfully. We learned a lot in the process of doing that. From that, we spun out Regulus Resources, which is focusing on the very exciting Antacory copper gold project in Peru, and Aldebaran Resources, which we'll talk about today, which is focusing on the Altar copper project, an equally exciting large copper project, huge copper project in the province of San Juan in Argentina. Just a quick look at our share structure. Our share structure is very tightly held. We have one large shareholder, Route One, a hedge fund out of San Francisco. They've been long-term backers of us as we move forward, and they provided the seed capital for us to acquire this option to earn into 80% of the Altar project. And correspondingly, they have a large percentage, over 43% of the company. We're earning into the project from Sibanye-Stillwater. They have a 17.5% equity interest in Aldebaran. And more recently, we announced that South32 has come in as a strategic partner. They made a very timely placement into us last year, which provided the funding for us to go forward. So a technical endorsement of the project, a fantastic strategic partner for us to have on that provides us with a lot of technical assistance and ideas moving forward on the project. As management, we have a significant position, and the remaining portion of the free float in the company is less than 25%. So fairly tightly held company, which has its pluses and minuses going forward. We can see the share structure on the right-hand side of the diagram. We currently have a market cap of approximately 130 million Canadian, which is healthy, but very low compared to the resource that we already have in hand, as we'll see. We have coverage from Paradigm Capital, and more recently, coverage has just been established by Desjardins with a target price of $1.65 on the company. We're currently trading in the 90-cent range. The project's located in west central Argentina in the province of San Juan. We can see on the diagram. San Juan is one of the more mining-friendly provinces in Argentina, and with the existence of large operating mines like Barrick's Veladero project or the Guacamayo gold mine, which was Yamana more recently sold to Minera. And these are large mines that have already been established, and they provide a lot of employment and benefits in the province, which means that mining is viewed as a very viable and attractive industry in the province. And the provincial government and the public are really clamoring for additional mines to be developed. This is one of the more mining-friendly areas that on the planet right now. And there are 5 large copper projects in the province right now that are actively being explored. In the north part of the province, right up against the border on the left side of the province of San Juan, we see the Jose Maria and Filo del Sol projects, 2 very exciting projects held by Lundin companies. And then down on the southwest corner of San Juan, we can see that our Altar project is one of 3 large copper projects being explored. 50 kilometers to the north of us is the Los Azules project of McEwen Copper, and 25 kilometers to the south of us is the Pachon project of Glencore, which is immediately adjacent to the operating Los Pelambres mine on the Chilean side of the border, held by Antofagasta, one of the larger copper mines in the world. So all 5 of these copper projects are already very large copper projects. I believe if they had been located 30 kilometers to the west in Chile, they would already be mines. And Argentina, and particularly the province of San Juan, realize the potential they have now to develop a very significant copper mining industry moving forward that would benefit the communities and quite frankly, the nation considerably at a time when it would be very valuable for that to happen. So very supportive area for us to work, a hotbed of activity. There are over 60 drill rigs active in the province right now, and there would be more if we could source more drill rigs. Everybody's scrambling to get as many rigs as possible. So a quick word on how we acquired the Altar project. The Altar project was one that really had been quite well known. It was previously drilled out by a company called Peregrine Metals, a junior operating very much with the same business model that we do. And they sold the project to Stillwater Mining for $487 million in 2011. However, the project never really fit with Stillwater. Stillwater was a platinum producer with an operating mine in Montana, and this was an early stage copper project. It didn't fit. The shareholders weren't too thrilled about moving it forward, and it became somewhat stranded in Stillwater. When Sibanye bought Stillwater, they determined that it didn't fit strategically within their group, and they marked it for disposal. And we were in a good position to strike an agreement to acquire the project. So we have the option to acquire up to an 80% interest in the project by making a $15 million payment, which has been made, awarding a 19.9% equity position to Sibanye Stillwater with the rights to maintain that position as they move forward. And then we can earn a 60% interest in the project by spending $30 million on exploration. We are just crossing that boundary right now. So in the near future, you'll see that we announce that we've earned into 60% of the project. And we can earn up to an 80% interest by completing an additional $25 million. We'll have 3 years to do that, and that'll likely happen much sooner than that at the rate we're already exploring. So let's look quickly at the project itself. Like many porphyry districts, the project is actually a cluster of individual porphyry deposits. There are at least 5 centers of known mineralization and probably more as we continue to explore in the district. But the currently reported copper resource in the district is in the central and east deposits on the eastern, the right-hand side of this diagram. Note the scale bar. This district is over 7 kilometers east to west, with multiple porphyry centers within that district. This is a cross-section looking to the north, and we can see that mineralization at Altar Central and Altar East. The conceptual pit that constrains our reported resources outlined on this diagram, it's one pit that captures both zones of mineralization with a bit of a septum in between the 2 better defined zones on this diagram. And we can see that a large amount of the mineralization reported in the upper portion of this diagram is at the measured and indicated resource. When we signed the agreement to earn into this project, there were already over 100,000 meters of drilling completed on the project. So we're earning into a project that has a very substantial database on it already and a very large resource in hand. We can see that if we combine the measured and indicated resources, that's approximately 1.2 billion tons at approximately a 0.5% of copper equivalent grade, with the dominant mineralization value in mineralization being in copper, with lesser amounts of gold and some molybdenum associated with that. And then we have an additional nearly 200 million tons of inferred resources at a slightly lower grade. So very large deposit already. But as we began to explore this area, we realized it could be much larger. We've been doing quite a bit of drilling over in the QDM radio zone on the left-hand side of the diagram. The copper mineralization in this zone currently is not reported in a resource. It needs additional drilling. Very exciting results there, but somewhat deep. It'll probably turn into something that might be exploited by bulk underground mining. And as part of the process on this project, we have a philosophy of collecting systematic data over the entire project area. When we inherited this project, there was a lot of drilling done and it had been well executed and well preserved, but very little systematic data collection throughout the entire project. So we've completed geologic mapping of the entire area, surface geochemical data sets for the entire area, and most recently, late last year, we completed the first systematic, deep-looking 3D IP geophysical survey in the project, and it delivered a very surprising result for us that we'll see on the next diagram. On this diagram, we can see a cross-section through the drilling. We can see central on the left-hand side of the diagram and east on the right-hand side of the diagram, and the conceptual pit that constrains that resource. And then as pastel colors in the background, we can see a large red anomaly. This is a conductivity anomaly that resulted from this deep-looking survey. When we completed this survey, the only drilling we had was the shallow drilling in the upper portion of the diagram and the one deep hole on the left-hand side of the diagram. And what we noticed was that on all of our drilling, as we entered into the top of this anomaly, we were mineralized. And the one hole that cut all the way through the anomaly was quite mineralized, but we didn't have the two longer drill holes in the center and right-hand side of the diagram at that time. And we had a very large anomaly wide open. We were drilling the hole in the deep hole in the middle portion of the diagram as we received this data. And that hole returned over a kilometer, over 1,000 meters at a 0.4% copper equivalent grade. So very attractive hit right through the heart of that anomaly. And it indicated that an anomaly might be very closely mimicking distribution of mineralization. This got us very excited, and we embarked on our drilling program this year with expectations that we might be able to prove that much of this red anomaly or pink anomaly in this diagram could be mineralization. And the deep hole on the right-hand side of this diagram is hole 224. It's the first hole we announced in our first press release of this drilling campaign. This came out a couple weeks ago. And we hit nearly 1,200 meters of mineralization in this hole at about a 0.5% copper equivalent grade, with over 400 meters of 0.68 copper. So we've shown that this large anomaly is very closely proxying the distribution of mineralization in the deposit. And it's important to note that those three deep holes, the two holes on the right-hand side of the diagram, are over 500 meters apart, and it's over 700 meters to the deep hole on the left-hand side of the diagram. This is indicating we have a very large area of minerals, potential mineralization, a very high probability as we continue to drill this out, this will be mineralization. It will substantially increase the size of the deposit and dramatically change the geometry of this pit moving forward. So we're extremely excited. Stay tuned for a number of drill releases that will come out over the following months. We're currently drilling with 3 rigs. We've got a 4th rig that we hope will be here soon to help out, and maybe even an additional rig or 2 before we finish up the season. Our field season has been extended. Formerly was approximately 4 months that we could drill on this project. It wasn't due to conditions on the project itself. It was because we had to cross 2 high passes to get into the project. But last year, Glencore cut in a lower elevation road into their Pachon project. We share access via that road. It's extended our field season to about 8 or 9 months a year. So we'll be able to drill all the way to June. Keep in mind, we're in South America, so winter is sort of June to August. And then we'll be able to get back to work in September on the project. This is just a different view looking to the south of that large anomaly. We can see the density of drilling from the previous drilling near surface. And we can see the long holes that we're dropping into the project area. And so far, each of those long holes is coming back well mineralized. There's a very, very good chance we'll increase the size of this deposit as we'll go forward. Just a few quick words. We won't have time in this format to go through this, but our plan is to get as much drilling as we can done in the remainder of this year, be in a position to begin to show the full size of the deposit. It will probably take us 1 more year of hard drilling to get to the full extent of this and be in a position to put out a PEA as we move forward on the project. In addition to the drilling that's obvious for us to do right beneath the pit, there are still a number of regional exploration targets. We'd very much like to get forward to these projects, but they'll probably remain as blue sky potential for us in the future once we establish the value of the obvious mineralization we have in hand. We've already talked a little bit about how Argentina is a hotbed for investment right now. This is due to Argentina realizing the potential for mining to become a major industry in some of the provinces, and even at a national level, they're beginning to realize that. And they're starting to change their policies to make it more attractive for foreign investment into the company for resource development, not just mining. This actually holds for oil and gas exploration in the southern part of the country as well. And more notably, we're seeing the major miners like Rio Tinto, BHP, South 32 begin to move into the country, which is an endorsement that we're moving in the right direction and it's becoming a more attractive place for major mining investments. This is in conjunction with a noticeable movement of major miners beginning to acquire copper assets. I think this is the leading edge of M&A activity, and many of the predictions are that we'll begin to see a more notable supply gap between supply and demand for copper emerging, if not late this year, by next year, which will most likely lead to a substantially higher copper price. And that will probably trigger even more activity in this space, and we'll begin to see the major companies try to put their hands on assets like these moving forward. We don't require that higher price for our project to be economically viable, but what happens is when we have higher metal prices, the larger mining companies begin to build up a lot of cash and begin to be motivated to grow rather than simply pay dividends and conserve cash when prices are low. And so that usually triggers a lot of M&A activity. I think we're entering into the perfect situation to be delivering copper projects like we have. This just addresses a little bit about the copper demand. I'd probably, most of you know this story, but you can refer to our website to go into this in more detail. Probably the most eye-catching way we can present this in the next, there are studies that have come out that show that in the next 22 years we'll need as much copper as all copper that's been consumed in history up to date. And we're, as an industry, we'll be really scrambling to deliver this, which will undoubtedly mean a shortage of copper and a higher metal price as we move forward. I mentioned that Desjardins recently established coverage on us. This is a diagram that is one way that you can evaluate a company like ourselves compared to our peers, is by the enterprise value or the market cap per pound of copper that we have in the ground. We currently, the analyst points out from Desjardins that we currently are valued at way less than 1 cent per pound for the metal that we have in the ground. Historically, these projects have been sold for about 4 cents a pound when they reach PEA or pre-feasibility level. Our opportunity is to move that valuation up as we advance the project, and we'll continue to grow the project as well. So this makes a very compelling story for an investment into a company like Aldebaran right at this stage. There are other groups that have fantastic deposits, but their valuations are much closer to what the likely ultimate value of the project will be. So that limits the upside potential for investment. Still very good projects, but really more close to fully valued as you move forward. So just as a quick summary, Aldebaran has an aggressive drill program going on already. We already have a very large resource in hand, but it's about to become significantly larger. We'll have very good news flow over the next few months and years of moving forward on the project. We're in a province and a jurisdiction that's very easy to work in and becoming very hot, very attractive as an area to explore, and I believe an area for majors to acquire projects moving forward. And as I mentioned in the last slide, one of the most important takeaways from this, it's a very good time to take a look at. Even though our share price has moved rather nicely over the last 2 years, there's still a very compelling valuation story here. It's a great time to enter in as an investment into Aldebaran. So I couldn't be happier to have our hands on a great copper project right at a fantastic time to have such an opportunity. And for those of you who'd like to learn more about this, please reach out to us. You can see a number of interesting videos on our website where myself or Kevin Heather, our Chief Geologic Officer, walk you through in details of who we are and what we're doing and the excitement we have for this project moving forward. So thank you for your time. Take care.